Welcome to the Citizen Motorings podcast called Pit Stop. I'm Jaco van der Merwe. I am joined by Charl Bosch. While you're at it, please subscribe to the Citizen's YouTube channel and stay tuned then to get the latest motoring news every week. This week, what we're discussing is a concept that we've been debating, or can we say have been debated the world over for at least a number of years now. The concept of another Toyota bakkie. Now, before we start calling it a junior Hilux or a Corolla Cross bakkie, or just to set the record straight, Charl, before you divulge too deeply into the details, over the last week, new details have emerged out of Brazil, which tell us more about the so-called second bakkie concept in adjunction to what we've been also calling the junior Hilux for a while. Now, we should keep these two separated.
Yep.
We shouldn't confuse the two of them. Just briefly tell us what is each about.
So before we, obviously we know about the launch earlier this month, or was it last month, of the Toyota Hilux Champ, which was the so-called first bakkie in the range, the body-on-frame option. But before this, we were a bit confused because there was a report from the US, I believe, if I can remember correctly, of there possibly being a second totally different bakkie being launched based on the same platform as the Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, that is a what we call a unibody platform. The Hilux Champ is based on a body-on-frame, so a purpose-built bakkie-based platform. In this case, a shortened version of the same one that underpins the current Hilux and Fortuner. So this caused a bit of confusion. What are they going to do? Is it in fact the same model? Are we confusing the same vehicle? But as it turned out, it is two completely different, separate vehicles. And at one point, we thought that Toyota did submit a trademark application in Brazil for the Toyota Stout name. Now, we know that the Stout name was previously used in South Africa, and until the late 1990s, even in Japan, this is where it gets confusing, on a third generation or the fourth generation Toyota Hilux with a third generation's face. So we thought that, well, maybe that the Stout name will be used for the body-on-frame vehicle that ultimately became the Hilux Champ. But now with the Corolla Cross being introduced, it now seems that there will be two separate vehicles available from what we believe, what the report said, from about 2026, 2027. But we don't know if it's going to be called Stout for the moment.
Quite interesting Stout. There's also a lot of products in your local pub, usually in a bottle that's called Stout. But
I think this is completely different. It's not that. It's not that way.
Interesting choice of name. So Toyota's obviously, we're talking now Toyota on a global scale.
Yes.
We're not talking Toyota South Africa Motors for the moment. But TSAM, Toyota South Africa Motors, they are on record. They've been saying the last 2 years that we should expect a junior Hilux. That's all they called it, a junior Hilux. Not at this year at their state of motoring address in Jan at Kyalami. Again, Leon Tron reiterated. He said not yet, in a year or two down the line. So interestingly enough, while we know nothing else, we both build the Hilux and the Corolla Cross in Durban.
Yes.
So if you were to argue this so-called junior bakkie should be this one or that one, I suppose there's an argument for each, but it's going to be justified because they built it here already.
Absolutely. Although what did come out of this whole Brazilian thing, and I've got a quote here from the gentleman who is let me just quickly get his title here. He is the leader of a trade union organization in Brazil. Now, Toyota has a factory in the Sao Paulo area of Brazil. So this gentleman was quoted as saying that there's no other place where the pickup is produced, which almost certainly confirms that they will build this
The Corolla Cross bakkie.
underpinned model. And if you dig a little bit further into this whole thing, so this was first announced in 2023. If you go a little bit further, there's a gentleman here, he is from America, and his official title, if I could just get it correctly, he is at the stage, he is the Vice President of Planning and Strategy in the United States. And he was quoted as saying that if Toyota, his direct quotes were, if there is a customer that needs a rugged, smaller body-on-frame vehicle, we can consider that, but it's more of an urban and less of an extreme off-road vehicle. Then it would make more sense to use the TNGA unibody platform. So basically, the Corolla Cross rides on, as we said, a unibody platform. So Toyota doesn't have a smaller body-on-frame platform below the TGNAF that is used for the Land Cruiser 300 that will underpin the next Hilux and the Toyota Fortuner. So you will not be looking at a hardcore, full-on, dedicated workhorse body-on-frame vehicle as a Hilux, and even the Hilux Champ. So it'll be more alive. It will be more of a lifestyle vehicle.
Yes.
And which Toyota currently doesn't have in their lineup in South Africa. So it will make, in a way, sense to have a lifestyle offering because there isn't one currently in South Africa. There isn't a unibody-based vehicle. Your mainstream vehicles are all body-on-frame, bakkie-based vehicles. Unibody vehicles, or unibody bakkies, I should say, are a big deal in the United States. The new Ford Maverick, the Hyundai Santa Cruz, the Honda Ridgeline, they are all more lifestyle, non-hardcore based vehicles. So a unique vehicle like that in a South African context might work because everybody knows that South Africans don't need, we use bakkies as part of our lifestyle. We don't use them necessarily as work tools only. So if you believe what this gentleman from Brazil is saying, that they are the only market that's going to produce it, it could result eventually in Toyota maybe changing their mind at some point and saying, wait, we've got another factory because the Corolla Cross is built in a lot of countries. It's not just in South Africa. Wait, we could maybe build this in South Africa or in another country, not just in Brazil.
Yeah, of course, it gives them options. And another thing is we should just clarify that if you're talking smaller bakkie, we shouldn't confuse the word junior Hilux with being a smaller Hilux. It's more of almost a bare-boned, lesser spec kind of a, like you just said, alluded to, workhorse, which should also make a lot of sense because obviously, as we know, the majority of body styles sold in Hilux form every month is in single cab guys. And obviously, it is a major workhorse in South Africa. So, yeah, it's obviously then completely two different things. The Corolla Cross bakkie would be like the lifestyle offering, more the flashy suburban kind of a bakkie. And this so-called junior Hilux would be the more rugged, we can always say the plus bakkie, properly with a few bales and a bit of
whatever in the back.
Cattle,
cement
sheep,
or something like that.
And some
bricks.
Proper old school railings. There we go.
Yes.
But like we've said before, obviously this has got nothing to do or nothing out of Toyota South Africa Motors yet. It might be a while still. This is just some things we've picked up out of Brazil over the last week. But obviously, in going forward, as always, we will keep you up to date. In the meanwhile, before we say goodbye for this week, feel free to subscribe to the Citizens YouTube channel, and then you can stay tuned every week for our Pit Stop podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Jaco van der Merwe. I was joined by Charl Bosch. Cheers.